Here's all the people.
Everyone, maybe say hello to David Weiss. He's doing great work here, sort of getting people more objective about how things work in the world. So we're we really appreciate having you here tonight. We're in Pembroke, Ontario, and proudly free up here. So welcome, David, and we can start any way you'd like.
Well, my question in there is, how many people there think we live on a globe? Can give me an idea? Raise your hand, maybe, or laugh at me. Something. It's hard for me to see. What would you say? What percentage?
2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's looking like about what's
20%.
Okay, so
20% or half.
So it's tough to do a full presentation in a situation like this. So why don't we just do question and answers? Like for the people that think we live on a globe, tell me one reason why you think we live on a globe, and then I could show you some stuff that might change your mind, or maybe it won't. How's that?
What we've been taught.
Karen said it's what we've been taught in school here.
Right. And so this is you said this is a freedom group. This is a people that don't like what the government's doing group. Pretty much. So the government told you that we went to space. They provide zero evidence or proof of it. One of the first things they teach you in school is, when you're a kid, is the orbit of the sun and the moon and the earth. And everything has astronauts in space, and every movie is space, and Sesame Street is all about heliocentrism, whether you know it or not. They have astronauts on there. Walt Disney worked with NASA, and they're literally indoctrinating kids at a young age to make your foundation, make your foundation unshakable. So and they always give us little clues here, going way back to the, early 1900s, every room had a globe, and kids got literally globes to work with because they want you having the foundation of your life, being on a globe. That way, if somebody tries to take away your globe as an adult, you revert back to childhood, and you're like, no, don't take my globe away. And sometimes they give us little clues. On Sesame Street, they were talking about the library and the fiction section. And if you look in the fiction section, you got a globe and a rocket. So they're always giving us little nuggets of truth. I wonder if that is revelation of the method, or they're just poking fun at us and laughing at us. Right? Here's a kid's workbook. They show you two false models, a false globe, which is stupid, and a false flat earth. We're not a disc floating in space. They want you to think the flat earth is the dumbest thing ever. They put it in, they put the mocking in cartoons. Here's Homer walking in. It says scams. There's a globe, and then wanted is the devil, right? So this entire helio-satanic system is beyond what most people can even fathom, right? They want you to believe that, this is a cult leader. Right? This is a cult leader, when in fact, this is a cult leader. This is a guy that's out there brainwashing the world to believe complete and total utter nonsense. And they want you to believe that, if you go to school, they're creating smart people, smart enough to repeat what they've been told. My shirt, memorization is not education, it's indoctrination. And then they're dumb enough to think that makes them smarter than everyone else. Oh, I got a degree. Yeah, you got a degree in memorization, because there's no one that is allowed to put new ideas out there. Here's some recent things from NASA. They want you to know that every second, ready? Just let this sink in. Every second, the sun loses 400 million tons of mass for billions of years, and the sun hasn't changed size. 400 million tons of mass every second, right? Andromeda is getting closer to us by 110 kilometers per second. Kilometers per second. Is that kilometers? KMS? Kilometers per second. 60,000 new stars are born every second. Let's talk about stars in a minute. 120 new black holes are formed. A black hole is supposedly such dense energy that it doesn't even let light out. So how do you see a black hole? Right? This is nonsense. This is completely AI generated nonsense. And then people just buy it. They're like, well, it was in this magazine. It was in this paper. I have to believe that. We all know that air, gas, violently fills the available space. If you had a tank of gas and a box of air, and you were in a room that had no air or just less air, you open it, immediately the air is going to fill the room, right? But we live on a lumpy rock surrounded by smooth water that no one's ever seen the curve, surrounded by high pressure air adjacent to a void, a vacuum of no pressure. That breaks every law of thermodynamics. People say, well, gravity is holding it down. Gravity is not holding it down, because I could have a box of air and I should in a room that has less air, and gravity should hold my air in the box, but it doesn't. It immediately fills the room. Immediately, violently fills the room. So the amount of nonsense out there is actually mind-boggling, and it pisses me off sometimes. This just came out the other day. These are some new black holes. Look at this. This is an art project. This isn't a photo, and NASA never says they have photos. They always have images or pictures, images and pictures. That doesn't mean it's a photograph. They want you to believe that, they teach us in school that we're orbiting around the sun like this. Think about this. All the planets are orbiting around the sun, but they fail to tell you that the sun's moving at 500,000 miles an hour, and they're all staying on the same plane, chasing the sun, traveling over 4.5 billion miles a year, never to return to where we were before. And somehow every star in the sky remains in the exact same position. Never, ever have two stars change position due to parallax, because you're moving, they're moving. The stars should be crossing every day, every minute, but never, ever have two stars cross. That is a stationary cosmology. And the other thing is, we're spinning. The axis of our spin points towards Polaris, our North Pole. Okay, all right, I can get that. Why do all of the other planets circle around Polaris also? Why is Polaris at the center of every orbit, sun, moon, and all of the planets? They don't talk about that in school in heliocentric land. Everything circles around Polaris. Polaris is at the center. All of the other luminaries. You know what else is funny? We can zoom in on Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, Pluto, the sun, the moon, stars. We can zoom past it with the telescope. We can zoom in front of it. We can zoom right on it. Perfect focus. When we're in perfect focus, we can go from the moon to a star to a planet, and they all remain in the exact perfect focus. Kind of like they're all the same distance away, whatever they are. I'm not claiming to know what they are. I'm claiming that telescopes and super zoom lenses tell us that they're the same distance away. So, why do you believe you live on a globe? Anybody?
Here's the mic. Here's the mic. You can't hear you until I bring this. Here we go.
I just have a question. So how do you then, as a flat Earth, when we were in the northern hemisphere, the toilet bowl water circles a certain way, and the opposite effect happens in southern hemisphere? How does that occur on flat Earth?
Yeah, that's actually a myth. It's not true at all. It's called the Coriolis effect. They say snipers pay attention to the Coriolis effect. They have to figure out the spin of the Earth. A world record, 4.5 miles, I think it was, just recently. The bullet was in the air for like 27 seconds or something ridiculous like that.
That's a wind thing. So just a minute. That's a wind thing.
Yeah.
Okay. How it diverts either east or west or north or south, and you only are facing north and south if that affects you. If you're facing east or west, the Coriolis effect does not have any impact. What I'm talking about is the actual water turning in a bowl.
Yeah.
So that's a whole different effect than what you're talking about right now with the bullet.
But what I'm telling you is it's I was just bringing up the Coriolis effect, where it's not true. I have two toilets in my house that spin in different directions. It's the way the water goes in the bowl. On my app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock.
I would love to see a picture of that.
Okay, so hang on. So on the app, on the frequently asked questions section, there's where is it? Coriolis is on here somewhere. There's a Coriolis button. It's on here somewhere. Right here, Coriolis, right there. If you click that, there's a whole bunch of videos. It shows you the guys at the equator with the bowls. They go on each side of the equator and they pour it in, and you watch, and we show how they pour it into the right of the drain to the left of the drain. And that's just the water going in the bowl. I have friends in Australia. Their toilets spin the clockwise. Some of them spin counterclockwise. It's all how the bowl is drained, not how it's designed, how the water goes into the bowl. So the entire thing, and nobody ever checks it. They just believe it. Yeah.
My daughter's traveled south of the equator,
Yeah.
knows that it spins differently. Do you have pictures of this showing that it's differently?
I actually have some videos. I am putting them together. The problem is I have to document where they were done, and it's like how do you prove where you were when you're taking that? So I have to like video myself somewhere proving where I am, and then show the toilet spinning. But just go look at toilet bowls. Go look. Everybody assumes, but they never check. I mean, to live on a globe, there has to be curvature, there has to be axial rotation. Stars would have to change positions. There's a million things, but everyone wants to look at the toilet and say, "Oh, look, the toilet bowl is spinning in one direction." How does that even work? If the Earth was spinning, why would the toilet spin in a different direction? What force would make it change directions? Right? Storms on the outside, when storms go on the outside here, they spin counterclockwise, and on the inside here, they spin clockwise. And that's because of the wake of the sun and the moon, which are electromagnetic. It's like pushing a paddle through water. You'll get counter-rotating vortices. Sometimes when there's a storm coming across and the sun and the moon are far away, it will cross and will spin in the opposite direction. Every year it happens. There's storms that spin in the opposite direction that their hemisphere tells them they should be spinning, and that they don't point that out, that actually disproves the Coriolis effect 100%, and proving that that's not the cause of why things spin in certain directions.
Dave?
Yeah.
Can we ask, I want to ask a question. What brought you to the idea that, all of the globe was a deception? I know that we don't, I think that you would agree that you don't really know how it all works, but you know that NASA is deceiving us and things just don't add up with what you look at. So what was it for you that got you on this path of?
Yeah, I live on the water. I live in the same town my entire life. Al Gore told us that we were going to be underwater by 1990 or 2000 or whatever it is. And I'd live in the same town, and I've been in the water my whole life, and all the rock walls and rock jetties are the exact same height. So the water level hasn't changed in 60 years. All right. So the other thing was, if the Earth is curved, there has to be curvature. When something goes a certain distance and they say, well, the Earth is so big, you can't see the curvature, but they want you to believe boats can disappear bottom up over the horizon. And so I looked at the 3 or 4 different curvature calculators, and the easiest one is based on the Pythagorean theorem, and it's 8 inches per mile squared. Now that works up to about 2,000 miles before it starts varying a little bit. But that's fine because nobody can see 1,000 miles anyway. So at 1,000 miles, it's off by like 2 feet or something insignificant. At 10 miles on a globe Earth at 24,901 miles around, like they tell us, there should be 66 feet of curvature at 10 miles, right? At 3 miles, there should be 6 feet of curvature. And so I saw, stuff where people were zooming in and stuff. So in 2015 or 16, I bought a super zoom P900 camera. I went down to the beach. I lucked out. It was a very calm, cool, clear, dry, sunny day, and I zoomed in on a buoy that was almost 11 miles away. I am 2 feet off the water. I can see a buoy that's over 10 miles away. At 10 miles, there should be 66 feet of curvature. I said, all right, something's wrong with the curvature calculator. It can't be. I can see the water beyond the buoy. And so I went to the debunking sites, and they're like, well, the Earth is, you're halfway down. Get my ball Earth here. So it's not, you don't have curvature like this. You're here and the object's here. So you're sharing the curve. It's a hump, which is ridiculous if you actually look into it. But I said, okay, so there's only 33 feet of curvature. How come I can see a buoy that's only 10 feet tall? and I can see people on the beach 7 or 8 miles away. Shouldn't be able to see them. And then I said, well, what about the fact that that boats disappear over the horizon? So look here, there's no boat on this horizon. So we're zooming in. And as we zoom in, what we're doing is we're increasing the focal size. And as we increase it, it gets bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden you can go, oh, look, there's a boat. There's a boat, right? My finger can't hide the boat. If my finger was a wave, but if my finger was a wave in the foreground, it could hide the whole boat, and the boat will disappear apparently from the bottom up. This is how perspective works. The boat's still there. It's just out of your visual range. And people go, oh, it's over the curve. Now, a glober will go, well, the boat's not far enough to be over the curve. But we have things that we can see that, we know exactly how far they are. From Malibu, Malibu in California, 123 miles away is Mount San Jacinto, if I pronounce that correctly. And you can't see it. It's just a blue sky. A hazy sky. But if you take out an infrared lens that will cut through the haze, you can see it, right? There should be over 7,000 feet of curvature. Well, how tall is mountain? It's just over 7,000 feet. So maybe you should see the very top. But there it is. It's right there. And you can't say it's refracting up because, for one, nothing refracts up from behind a solid object. Things will refract down. Things will mirage. But nothing will refract up. You can't have something behind a house appear above a house when you're looking at it. It just will never happen. But this thing is here where it's supposed to be. We can see it with today's optics, which have outgrown their lies. And we've seen things much, much farther than that. For example, here, the higher up you are, the clearer the air is. Here is a low mountain, and we could see over 700 miles away. We could see these 8 mountains. They're all here. They all appear. And using the Earth curve calculator, the one that gives the globe the benefit of the doubt, the one that says the least amount of curvature, from this altitude, with calculating that in, the tops of these mountains should be 40 miles below a physical curve. 40 miles below a physical curve. You can't see my mouth because it's behind a physical curve. You can't zoom in on it. It's not going to refract up because it's behind a physical curve, but these should be 40 miles. 40 miles. You can't even fathom what 40 miles is, all right? 40 miles is unbelievable, but for some reason, they all just show up. They just show up there. Here's another one. This is an important one. This is from Illusion, France. Okay, every year, the sun travels between the 2 tropics, 6 months out, 6 months in. From here, they're looking out, and Mount Canigou is out there 175 miles away. Well, they can't see it because, according to the Globe Earth calculator, the top of the mountain is more than a half a mile below the curve. But twice a year, the sun will line up with the viewing spot and Mount Canigou. And when it does, it backlights the mountain. Now, the sun's light can push 175 miles through. The light bouncing off the mountain can't. But when it backlights it, it's right there. And you know what they say? They say that the mountain's below the curve and the sun's already set, but it's refracting up and stopping at your eye level magically. How does a dark mountain refract up and block a refracted sun? Right? As I said before, nothing refracts up from behind something solid. So again, here's another proof. There's many, many, many of these. I'm going to show you one more. This is one that guy did. So large bodies of water at rest lie flat. They need containment. When it's cold and it's at rest, it'll also freeze flat. So we get a frozen lake, right? So he's got his camera just 6 inches off the ice. He put these 4 lights, 8 miles, 7 miles, 6 miles, and 5 miles, right? They should be 30 feet below a physical curve, 22, 15, and 9 feet. But for some reason, they all show up at the level of the ice. They just show up in a straight line. Now, you can't say refraction because nothing refracts up from behind a solid. It's cold. It's dark. There's no humidity. What's going on? Earth is flat. That's what's going on, right? So there you go. I can go on, but next question.
Dave, I got a question. Yeah. I guess it's 2 questions. Can you explain seasons, and also can you explain why the sun why the sun goes away at sunset in the horizon?
Yeah, I will. This is one of my favorites. So seasons are very easy. All right. So let me just show you this first. So here we have here's the Earth. This is the Tropic of Capricorn. December 21st is when the sun's out there. The red line is hard to see in the middle, that's the equator, and the inner one is the Tropic of Cancer. Now you guys are in Canada, so the sun is slowly coming back. It's coming closer. When something's closer, it's higher and it's warmer. Right? If you're standing under a street light, that's your summer sun. The one down the road, that's not a that it looks lower, but you know it's the same height because the road's level, the poles are the same height. It looks lower and it's farther away. So the sun goes, here we are, April, May, June. In June, the sun's all the way in the Tropic of Cancer right here. It's as close as it's going to get to Canada. June 21st. That's it. That's the height of your summer. You'll get it'll maybe warm up a little bit in July and the beginning of August because the thermal heat, but it's our winter, it's our summer, and it's South America's winter. It's Australia's winter. 6 months later, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, in December, the sun goes all the way out to the Tropic of Capricorn, and that's where Australia has their summer and we have our winter because it's far away. Imagine you and I are sitting outside in February in Canada. It's freezing. We're 25 feet apart because we don't want to infect each other with the boogeyman. And we're drinking our beers, but they're freezing. The beers are freezing, so it's not working out. Somebody comes over with a big heat lamp and holds it 15 feet over your head. And you're like, this is great. Your beer melts. You take off your jacket. And I'm looking, and you're warm. I'm cold. And I say, if that was the sun, where is it? You're like, oh, it's right here. And I go, well, I don't see it up there. I see it over there. And as that person walks over to me, keeping it the same height, I watch it get higher and higher and higher and higher. It's not getting higher. It's just getting closer. And I'm getting warmer and warmer and warmer. That's how seasons work. All right. That is exactly how seasons work. If they say it's because we're tilted, well, what about the rotation? The rotation is tilt also. So in June at sunrise, heliocentric model says it should be arctically freezing because the Earth is tilted away from the sun at 89 degrees, the biggest tilt possible. Any farther, it's below the horizon. And in our summer, they say the sun is 3.5 million miles farther away than it is during our winter. That's what the heliocentric model says. And so it would be freezing cold. But here in Connecticut, in June, when the sun is on the horizon, I can feel the heat on my face. In December, at noon, when it's up as high as it's going to be for that day, a much more direct angle and 3.5 million miles closer, I could barely feel the heat on my face. You guys know what I'm talking about. You live in Canada, right? So it's the proximity of the sun to you, not the angle at all. So how does the sun set? That's a very good one. And I got a really easy explanation for you if I can find it. So here we go. So here's a building, and we're like New York City or Montreal, whatever. We're looking up, and it's noon, and the sun's moving 12:30, 1 o'clock. Now it's beyond the building, right? It moves beyond the building. So we know when the sun goes there, logic tells us, well, the sun's not below the horizon. It's just beyond the building. How could you go see it? Well, you can go up high, float up in the air. You'll be able to look over the building and see it. Or you can move backwards and go way back, and you'll have a better view. So how does that work in nature? So here we go. Perspective, everything rises, goes to a vanishing point. That's how we see. The sides come in, the bottoms go up. That is how we see. Here's a guy. Here's his eye line. And we throw this mountain in here. This mountain, let's say it's a few thousand feet above his head. We all get that. Here's the sun. It's above the mountain. Now the sun's going to move away, and it looks like it's going down, right? Whoops. It looks like it's going down. It's not below the horizon. It's just beyond the mountain. Beyond the mountain, like it's beyond the building, right? So he can go up or he can go backwards. Let's make him go backwards. So we'll take him back 30, 50 miles away. The mountain now looks like it's at his eye level, but we know that this mountain is thousands of feet above his eyes, but it looks like it's at his eye level. And then the sun moves away. What does it do? It goes beyond the mountain. It gets worse. The atmosphere, the clouds, even clear air over distance becomes opaque. So here we go. The sun moves away above the clouds and it goes beyond this line. Now, what is this line now? Well, all of the clouds, the atmosphere is merging into that line. So this line is the top of the mountains, thousands of feet above his eye level. It's also the clouds, which are thousands of feet above the mountain. All the sun did was go beyond it and take its light with it. All right. Here is here's just this is just showing a time lapse of the moon going away. It's not going down. Right. This is terrestrial perspective, right? Because we're looking at it from the ground. This line here, a little hard to see, is level. It looks like it's going down. It's really this line. This line I'm running this light across, and I'm looking at it with a camera from its height, but from the ground, it looks like this. And it goes beyond this mountain or this atmospheric deck. It just goes down and it looks like it's setting. Here's a real sunset going behind the atmospheric deck of opacity. It's just moving beyond it. And then one more thing, real important that you have to understand is our sun in the flat earth model is small and it's close. All right. So here is this happens, and I've filmed this many times. People say, why doesn't the sun shrink? Whoops. The show. Where is it? Give me a second. Why doesn't the sun shrink? Well, clear, dry air, it won't shrink. This is filmed in Afghanistan, right? The fool on the hill sees the sun going down, but the eyes in his head see the world spinning round, right? This sun is just going away and taking its light with it, right? So hang tight. Where is it? Fade. All right, so here's a cold day, super clear. You can never, it's hard to film this over water because it's usually moisture, but this was done in like December. Freezing, the sun went down, and then it stopped. Now, if we were on a spinning ball, it would never stop. It would always move at the same speed, but it sat here for 10 minutes. Now, my friends were at the beach over there. They said the sun set 10 minutes ago from the bottom up. I'm still looking at it from my drone, okay? And I'm watching it. It's just sitting here. This is super sped up. Right? And it's just going away. And its light can no longer push because it's so far away. But from the ground, you see that sunset from the bottom up many times. I mean, from earlier, much earlier. So there you go. On the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app, if you want to learn, click the frequently asked questions button, and then where does the sun go? Right there. Where does the sun go? Tons of videos, and all of them, Google is hiding from you. They don't want you to see any of them. All right. Next question.
Well, I was going to say that the apparent size of the sun stays the same.
That's
So
not
if
always
it's getting-
true. That's,
If it's getting closer, it should be bigger. If it's getting further away, it should be smaller.
yeah, so I'll show you why that doesn't happen. So it has to do with the fact that it's a celestial object versus a terrestrial object. So here we go. So this is a train going away, and it's getting smaller because these are both a terrestrial viewer looking at a terrestrial object getting smaller. We get it. We get it. It's going away, and it's getting smaller due to perspective. Absolutely. People expect the sun to do the same thing. Well, that's not how it works. So these are lines of perspective. These are all level lines. Look here. These are level lines that almost going straight down. But this is how our eyes work because everything goes to the vanishing point. So now I have a guy here. We're looking at a back view of him, and he's going to watch the sun go away. This is an orthographic, excuse me, orthographic view. No one ever sees this, but as the sun goes away, it goes down. So this person sees the sun going down into and beyond the horizon, right? So now, if we take the train car and we move it all the way up, the train car is already smaller because it's far away, and the perspective won't let it get much smaller. Now, it will get a little smaller, but as you start looking across the atmosphere, you're looking through more and more atmosphere, it magnifies it. So here we have a wiffle ball, and 7 feet away, we have another wiffle ball. Now, I could be lying. That could be a ping pong ball glued to the top of this wiffle ball. You wouldn't know because I told you it was a wiffle ball far away. Your brain's like, yes, it's smaller because it's far away. Absolutely. Terrestrial view of a terrestrial object, it's smaller. Now, I'm going to raise my camera straight up without getting any closer to this ball. I'm just going straight up. And if you look, the balls become almost the exact same size. And if I rolled this ball down the track, it wouldn't get any smaller. Now, there's a little difference here, right? But there's many things. When you're looking across all the atmosphere, you're getting atmospheric magnification. And it's different all the time because the sun looks different sizes. When you see the moon, which is easier to measure because it's not so much glare or no glare, on the horizon, it looks gigantic. Hold your finger out, hold your thumb out, your finger, and say, okay, my finger covers it at arm's length. And then wait a few hours until it's up in the sky. It goes, wow, it's a quarter the size. But then you look, and the same thing blocks it. It's all in your head, right? If you do a trick, if you turn around, put your back to the moon and when it's gigantic on the horizon, and look at the moon upside down through your legs, it'll look small again. Just like when you take a picture of it, you look at the picture, it's tiny. It's huge. Take a picture, it's tiny. It's all how your brain interprets things. To prove that, I'm going to show you some things and just show you how things aren't as they always seem. So here we have two tables. All right. Which are they the same size? Which one's longer and which one's thinner? Keep it to yourself. All right. This one looks longer and thinner, right? If I told you they were the same size, would you believe me? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Maybe I'm full of it. All right. But if I show you that this one is this size and the other one's the exact same size, you still can't sort out how that's even possible in your mind. I just showed you the illusion and your brain cannot figure it out. All right. Here's another one. This is important. It's important to see how your brain can be tricked. This is called the Ames illusion. Now, this isn't a rectangle. It's a parabola. And it's spinning in a circle. It's not going back and forth. It's actually spinning in a full circle. But your brain will not let the smaller end come closer to you because it doesn't work that way. So the question is, if we stick a pen through the window and then spun it, will that break the illusion? So here we go. We're going to take a pen. We're gonna stick it in. And then he's going to wind up the thread and it's going to spin in a circle. It's not going to go back and forth. And what is your brain going to say? The point of this whole thing is if you can't touch it and measure it or don't know something specific about it that is absolutely true, you have no idea what shape it is, what direction it's going. Now watch, look at the pen. What is going on there? What is your brain doing? Okay.
Wow.
So you want to look up into the sky and say, oh, the motion, the size of the sun and the moon. What are the sun and the stars? They're gases in a vacuum. How do you have? So here on Earth, gas will violently fill the available space. Violently fill the available space. Always. Except in space. When you get enough gas, it'll collapse upon itself and build a nuclear furnace that burns 100 billion tons per second or whatever the hell the number was. It's absolute stupidity and insanity. And the way they do it is they make the number so big, they make the thing so big. You know, our sun is a speck. Our sun is a speck of, it's like a speck of sand next to a building compared to other suns, the other stars, right? It's absolute insanity. I wanted to show you, I got it right here. This. Oh, no, that's not it. Well, they're just basically showing that, you know, you could fit like 1,000 Earths in Jupiter and you can fit 1,000 Jupiters in the sun or maybe even more than that or whatever it is. And then the sun, other stars make the sun look like a grain of sand. These are balls of gas. Gas collapsed upon itself to create these suns that are burning for billions and trillions of years. This is nonsense. This breaks every law of thermodynamics, every law possible. I mean, they'll be like, hey, let's have a barbecue. Go pick up the propane, but don't bring a tank. Just bring the propane, right? You can't do it. It doesn't work anywhere except in NASA space fantasies. So Why are we looking up at
Okay,
the
here we go.
stars, which can't exist when, to figure out the shape of the floor? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Here's Robin.
Here, I'm back. I'm Robin Carasso, and I believe in the globular. Pretty wholeheartedly. But I'm always curious to see if I can be convinced otherwise. So, how do you describe the eclipse? How would you describe when eclipses happen from a flat Earth perspective?
Which eclipse are we talking about? Solar eclipse or lunar eclipse?
Any eclipse.
Well, they're completely different. So let's start with the lunar eclipse.
They are opposite but similar, maybe.
No, they're not even similar. They're completely different. So the lunar eclipse is allegedly when the globe Earth goes in between the sun and the moon and casts a shadow on the moon. First thing is you can't cast a shadow 250,000 miles. You can't even take a basketball, put it on the ground when it's up at noon, and there'll be a nice sharp shadow around it. Lift it 10 feet in the air, you can't even see the shadow. It just dissipates. Right. So shadows don't work that way. But to have an eclipse, a lunar eclipse, the sun and the moon and the earth have to be in a complete syzygy, a straight line with each other. So here is an example. So the eclipse is about to happen, right? It's not happening now. So if you were standing here on the top of the earth, because that's where you always are from your point of view, you can see the sun above your right horizon and the moon above your left horizon. Has the eclipse started? No, it can't, because the earth isn't in there. Now, if the earth moved up, the eclipse starts. That's what we're told is happening. That makes sense. But the problem is you can't cast a shadow that distance. That's the first problem. The problem is that there's a thing called a selenilian eclipse. There's been over 50 of them documented. There's one a year or so ago where you can see both the sun and the moon well above the horizons, and the eclipse starts. And not only does the eclipse start, the shadow comes in from the top. The shadow, whatever it is that's darkening the moon, comes in from the top. What that does is it doesn't tell me what's causing the eclipse. It tells me what's not causing the eclipse, and that's the Earth. But science will go, oh, if there's an eclipse, there's going to be a shadow like this because, the flat Earth, we're not a disk floating in space. They always have to straw man us in mainstream because they want you to laugh at flat Earth, because flat Earth is the key to your freedom. So the other one that's coming up is the main eclipse, the solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse is when allegedly the moon eclipses the sun. So I'm trying to find something here. It goes in front of the sun. The problem is no one has ever seen the moon come in and approach the sun, eclipse the sun, or exit the sun's face. They just see the sun disappear. What do I mean by that? Just see it disappear. So I am trying to find. Oh, here it is. Invisible eclipse. So what I mean by that is this. Okay. Do we see the moon here, or do we just see missing sun? We just see whatever the rest of the sky looks like. This is just missing sun. Missing sun. What's that?
Could easily be the moon.
I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
Oh, that could easily be the moon.
Well, it could be, but where is the moon? How come we don't see the moon?
In front of the sun.
Well, no, you would see the moon. Like we see the moon because it's reflecting sunlight. So we're getting moonshine, and the moonshine actually casts our shadow on the ground. If you go out on a full moon night, you can read a book by the moonshine, right?
But not when it's in front of the sun.
Yeah, because it's a new moon. I get it. We don't see it. But here's the problem. When there's a total eclipse, the sun is gone, the earth shine. Earth is 6 times bigger than the moon and more reflective. So there should be earth shine on the moon. Infrared telescopes, the International Fake Station, airplanes, nobody from anywhere with any optical equipment has ever seen the moon eclipse the sun. There's just missing sky. Now, here's the thing. falsification is independent of replacement. For example, if you were accused of stealing the last cookie from the cookie jar, and everyone's like, you did it, you stole the last cookie, but I had indistinguishable proof that you were in Australia at the time that cookie was shot. They can't come to me and go, oh, well, then who did it? Then who did it? You know, he's guilty until he says it. Or let's say you found out someone was going through your parents' drawers. Let's say your parents passed away, whatever, and they found adoption papers, everything, you know, adoption, when it happened, all the stuff, and they tell you that you were adopted. You can't go, well, no, unless you can tell me who my parents are, then I wasn't adopted. No, the evidence is there. Falsification is independent of replacement. So I have a theory on how it works, and I'm going to show you. And then I don't know if it's the truth, but here we go. So this is an eclipse that I filmed. The sky was a little hazy, so it's easy to film without any glare. And this is an eclipse that was happening. This is me simulating an eclipse with a rear projector and a bottle cap. This is a bottle cap. Now, do you see this Snapple bottle cap? No, you just see missing sun, right? So let me show you what's going on here, right? And jump forward a little bit. This is the eclipse that we filmed, and we saw this, and it was locked into position with the sun. This is moving around. This is a lens flare. This is a lens flare, but this one's not moving. This one's stuck right next to the sun. We're like, what is that? Now, at this time the picture was taken, the eclipse was about 85%. This is just so bright, it's blowing out the lens. But if you put a filter in front of it, you can see that it's eclipsed this much. So what I propose is this is the real sun, and this is the sun that we see. What do I mean by that? So I think that the sun is being projected into the flat earth realm the following way. Let me show you. So here's my eclipse. You do not see the bottle cap. It's a Snapple bottle cap. There it is. It's coming in. You don't see it because it's in front of the real sun, behind the sun that we see. You don't see it exiting. You just see sky. But then I said, you know what? If it's being projected into our sky might be more transparent than a paper towel. So let's use some toilet paper. So I did it with toilet paper, right? What do we see here? This is the rear projector. I'm seeing it through the paper. Whoops, hold on. I go back. I'm seeing it through the paper. And if we compare this, what do we see? This is the same thing. Look, there's the projector projecting into the sky. There's the projector from behind the paper projecting onto the sky. I can't find a better model. No one's been able to show anything that makes more sense than that. That's the reason that we don't see it. And go ahead. Go ahead.
Just kind of, so you're saying here that there's something projecting the sun through something else that's like the screen for that little bit, and then the sun is sort of like what, like a magnifying glass when you're like burning ants, how the magnifying glass.
So when you burn ants, you got your magnifying glass and you make that point on the ground. I know you burnt them. Don't deny it. Okay. And then if you lift that magnifier up a foot, the dot's not gone. It's just a foot in the air. And if you blew some fog or some stuff, you know, some smoke, you would see that spot in the air. You would actually see it, that point, it would be in the air. And I think that the firmament, the glass dome, if that's what it is, I don't know, right, is projecting the sun into our atmosphere. And we see it through this gets deep. You have to really, here's the thing. Believing the globe's easy. Drink, eat. You believe in the globe. You want to learn about flat earth. You have to take the time and effort and the thought and the power, and you have to be willing to be ridiculed. And it's a whole lot. And most people are like, you know what? I'm just happy. I'll just work my job. And this weekend I'll drink and I'll watch a movie and I'll watch some sports, and then I'll go back to work, and then I'll keep repeating that until I'm dead. All right. That's what a lot of people live their lives like, right? The life is way more than that. They don't want you to know that you're at the center of creation. They don't want you to know that your thoughts create your reality. They don't want you to know that nobody has power over you. You think they do. You think you have to pay taxes. You think that that all of this stuff, none of it's true unless you agree. Unless you agree. And when you unplug from this matrix, we literally live in the matrix. Government has no power. What is government? Govern is control. Ment is the mind. It's control the mind. And if you believe in this, you know, what is money? Money is a belief system that a government just inflates and inflates and inflates. And, you know, we're the only species that have to work to live. Imagine this. What if they let Tesla technology from the old world be out there? What that means is you don't have to pay for air conditioning, heating, or fuel for your car, and you can have as much as you want, and it doesn't pollute the environment. Would that free up some of your time? Of course it would. You'd have entrepreneurs all over the place making all sorts of amazing things, right? But they don't want you having free power, because JP Morgan took that away when Tesla had the World's Fair and sent out wireless electricity, pulling it out of the ground, and everyone had it for free. And they said, JP Morgan says, how do we bill people? He goes, you don't. This is free energy. And that's when they shut him down and basically killed him, right? So this stuff is out there, and they don't want you to know about it. They don't want you to know that there might be extraterrestrials from the extra terra very close here on Earth, not in outer space.
I think, like what you're saying there, you're alluding to the Antarctic wall, and like, there's the clock on the thing that's kind of gives us sort of an idea, but could you give a real like 101 on what you think? Like, the deception is one thing, and I'd like to talk a little bit about NASA if we could at some point, but that's what everyone believes. But when it comes to the model that you think it could be, and when you mentioned extra terra and that, could you just sort of describe, like, saying the North Pole's in the middle and how it might work?
Sure. So before, hold on a second. So on the flat Earth, the North Pole is the center. That's the magnetic north. All magnets will point to the north. So west is a circle around that north. East is a circle around that north. So you can circumnavigate east and west. But south is this way. South is that way. South is that way. South is every direction away from the center. South is every direction away from the center. That is south. If you put your back to a magnet and you walk away, you're walking south. If you go that way, it's south. South is every direction. Every straight line is south. We can get into, if you don't understand that, I can show you that in a moment, but we're going to go back to Antarctica here. So this is a ship tracking site, and you can find cargo ships, cruise ships, find out where they are, where they're going, all sorts of information about them. It's public, and there's paid sites also. But we saw a ship that was 730 miles inside of the shoreline of Antarctica. How the heck is that possible? An active ship. What's going on? And we found another one. 905 miles from the closest port, from the closest shoreline, right? Now, no one's allowed to independently explore. How does a boat get there? As a matter of fact, Google Earth says that is 2.37 miles above sea level. So if he's in a canyon that's got 2.5 mile canyon walls of ice, that's insanity, right? So what's going on there? So going here. Have you guys seen this map? This is a map that was found in a Buddhist temple, 10 centuries old. It was published in 1910 in a Hawaiian newspaper, and it shows all of these continents out here. Okay, it shows all these continents out here. So if you understand what the flat Earth is, you cut this out here, cut out around that line, and you wrap it around a ball, and you say nobody can go explore. Nobody can go explore the White Dome. Here, let me show you. So you get it, you get the map, you wrap it around a ball, and you say no one is allowed to go within 1,000 miles of this shoreline. You're allowed to go right here to this little island. There's a little island out here called Deception Island or Rothschild Island. You could spend $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, go there for a couple of days, but no one is allowed to independently explore out here. Or what is this? This is a lie. There's no photos of this area. This is all the cartoons. Every picture that you get shows you that. So when I was talking to somebody just recently, they said they were on some military mission, not military, on some mission to build something or whatever, contractor mission. But when they got within like below 65 degrees south, they were met by a military ship where a military guy comes on and takes over, and they are in charge of every move that ship makes. And no one's allowed literally to independently explore. Again, on the app in the Antarctica section, there's tons of information explaining all of that. So getting back to what was going on with that map I showed you. So we where is it? Ships. All right. So we saw this map and we're like, okay, so hold on there. And then we clicked on one of the ships and it was that was like 700, 800 miles in there, 900 miles. And it said it was 850 meters long and 80 meters wide. And it was registered to the nation of Kiribati. That's all it said. Didn't have its destination or anything on it. So we went to look, and out here in the middle of the South Pacific, you can't even see it. I put a pin on it. There it is. Okay. You zoom in, and America and China gave the nation of Kiribati like 10 or 11 billion dollars each recently. All right. They said it's a very important trade route. This sandbar is a trade route. Why would they need to stop in Kiribati? Right. Another funny thing about Kiribati is there's a Captain Cook Hotel. Any of you that research flat Earth, you know that Captain Cook tried to circumnavigate Antarctica, which is supposedly 13,000 miles around, and he went over 68,000 miles, and it took him 3.5 years. Weird or flat Earth, right? The other thing is, when we looked at the ships that were docking at Kiribati on their giant pier for this little island, they all had a destination of either unknown or Christmas Island. I don't know what that means. Some people say Kiribati's Christmas Island, but Christmas, of those of you that are into occult and stuff and realize that Santa and then the whole satanic thing with that, it's kind of curious. And then another thing, Kiribati, there's all sorts of stuff about nuclear testing. They want you to just be afraid to go there. But for those of you that know, nuclear bombs, that's a whole nother scam. So here are time zones, okay? Time zones should be 24 lines from the North Pole to the South Pole, like sections of an orange going all the way around. They should be even. But there's this weird time zone right on the date line that looks like this. It crosses 3.5 time zones. And right here, which I would call the most suspicious spot, is Kiribati. I don't know what that means. I mean, it means that it's definitely in a suspicious spot. So if you unwrap the globe, like I showed you, maybe it is an important trade route, and Kiribati's right here, and these are ships going to the outer lands. Maybe they're trading computer chips, tuna fish, children. I don't know, but we want the right to independently explore. And I have a video on this called How Would You Know? And because the answer is you never heard of Kiribati until right now. So how would you know? How would you know? Go on Google Earth, go to the South Pacific, zoom in and start looking, and you'll see all these little islands. Zoom in on them. Look at the buildings on them. Look at the way the trees are planted. Look at what's going on there. There's something that's not right. Something that's not right that's being hidden from us in those areas. So, quick little story. Somebody that worked for I think it was Intel or one of the big chip manufacturers, they say there's scientists, they work on these chips and they try to make improvements, and they make tiny little improvements. Oh, we just improved that little, but then all of a sudden they have a need or a call for a faster, better chip, right? And the CEO comes down and goes, here, use this chip. Gives them a new chip. And they're like, here, try to make this better. Where did that chip come from? Where did it come from? Where did chips come from? We didn't have them in the 70s, right? So I believe that this technology has been around for a long time. If you look into the old world, you'll learn a lot of stuff. On my app, if you go...
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Okay, just a question. I come from the Southern Hemisphere. I come from South Africa. And when I was born and when I grew up and lived there, when I got lost at night, I looked for the Southern Cross.
Yep.
Because that was in the south.
Yep.
And that's how I could go nowhere, get home by following the Southern Cross. But I couldn't turn around. If it's a flat earth, I could turn around and see the North Star. But I can't. It's not there. I had to go across the equator and get up to the northern hemisphere before I could see the Northern Star. Now, how come I couldn't see the Northern Star in South Africa?
Okay, so right now you have lights in your ceiling, I can see. And let's say we're in a room, a big empty room, and it's got random lights, and we look up and say, you see any shapes? Oh yeah, I see a starfish, I see buffalo, and I see a snake. Okay, cool. Now let's expand. It's got 10-foot high ceilings. We're in this room, and now we expand that room to 15 miles wide, make it big as a city, right? You go walking, right? Before you're a half a mile away, I can't even see you because the ceiling and the floor have merged together. I can't even see you. You walk 5 miles away. I yell, you can't hear me because the sound spreads out, just like light spreads out. And so I call you on your cell phone and I say, hey, look up. Can you see that snake and that starfish and that bull? And you're like, no, I see completely different stars. I'm like, you can't see the snake? We'll call that the North Star, right? The eye of the snake, right? And you're like, no, I can't. Well, that just proves that our floor is round. And that's even without an atmospheric layer. Remember, terrestrial, atmospheric, celestial, right? The celestial layer is above the atmospheric deck. In that room I'm talking about, we're not even factoring in the middle layer. So everything merges into the horizon in the distance. Now check this out. That
can't happen like that because as you're moving from the southern hemisphere to the northern hemisphere, you can see day by day, you can see the difference between the sky. The sky is moving, the sky is changing.
The sky is moving. The sky is moving. You're 100% right.
You're seeing the difference between the sky in the southern hemisphere, which is a different thing, and you're seeing the sky in the northern hemisphere, which is completely different.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
It's not just the northern star that's different. The whole sky is actually different. It's a different sky view.
100%.
Okay. As you go from one side to the other, nothing to do with distance. Because they're the same size. They're not smaller. They didn't go smaller because it's distance. You can see them as you're going across because you can't see round a corner. When you're in the south, you see from one distance. When you're in the north, you see the sky from a different distance, but from a distant angle. And they're different views of a massive, massive universe.
So you believe in a massive, massive universe. When I talked to you before, it's impossible to see we haven't got into the size of stars. First, stars are gas balls in a vacuum, impossible, right? But if we talk about the size,
you don't understand what gravity is about. It's not impossible.
So how much gas do you need? How much gas? Hey, let me talk. How much gas do you need before it collapses upon itself?
It never collapses on itself.
Well, that's how stars are formed.
No, we're not talking about. They're not necessarily gases.
Yes, they are.
Oh, some of them must. No, how do you know you've never been
there? That's what science tells us. That's what science tells us.
No, I haven't, but I'm just saying.
Well, then how do you know? How do anyone know?
Yeah. So here, you know what? Let's talk about that, and then I'm going to show you the reason. But you just missed the example in the room. You were 5 miles away from me, and all the lights in the sky were different from the on the ceiling. Were different from the lights on my ceiling. That's exactly how it works on a flat Earth. You're in the south. You're looking up at a local star system, and I don't get to see them because they're too far away. That's simple how it works. Now they tell us the sun is 93 million miles away. Imagine the sun was just a mile over our head at the size that it is. It would fill the entire sky. It's 186,000 miles across. If it was a mile over our head, it would fill the whole sky. Now we move it 93 million miles away, and it's now the size of a coin held at arm's length. Stick with me. If we doubled the distance, how much smaller would it be? The answer is the inverse square law says it would be 1/4 of the size. So now the sun is about the size of a pencil eraser. We double it again, so it's 4 times farther. It's getting pretty small. 8 times farther, double it again. It's now about the size of a star. Okay. 8 times farther, they tell us that the sun is 8 light minutes away. So 8 times farther, 8 times 8 is 64. We'll call it a light hour. At a light hour, our sun is the size of a star. What if we made it 2 light hours away? Maybe it's a very faint star. What if we made it 4 light hours away? You couldn't see it. What if we made it 8 light hours away? Ridiculous. Let's make it a light day away, 4 times farther. Okay. 16, 32. No, 3 times farther, 24. A light day away beyond. It's scientifically provable that the angular size is too small to see, and the brightness issue is another issue because light spreads out, gets weaker and weaker in the same inverse square law. So you could not see the sun at 1 light day away. Okay, what does that prove? What it says is Polaris, which you pointed out, which all of the planets go around our North Star. Weird, all right? Polaris is 48 times bigger than our sun. So if Polaris was 48 light days away, you couldn't see it. Because sizing and variance. Our sun's 400 times bigger than the moon, 400 times farther. They're looking to the same size. Polaris is 48 times bigger than our sun, 48 times away. It would be the same size as the sun, but we put the sun on a light day away. Can't see it, too small. Polaris at 48 light days away, can't see it. Guess what? That's less than 2 light months. Let's round up. 2 light months, can't see it. They tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. And you think that you can see that? That is just a religious belief and nonsense. Anybody with common sense that actually does the thought to think it through will understand that it is beyond impossible. And as a matter of fact, the most important star in our sky, Polaris, they're changing it by 100 million light years. No, 100 light years. 100 light years. They're changing the distance by 100 light years because they're like, oh, we were wrong by 100 light years. A light year is the dumbest thing ever. You can't see that stuff. Why look at the sky to figure out the shape of the floor? There is no curvature. There is no axial rotation. The earth is level and stationary like every common sense tells you. Everything in your life tells you it's flat. NASA, the Air Force, all their disclosed documents say they do all of their testing as a flat, non-rotating plane. All construction up to 100 miles treats it as a flat, non-rotating, non-bending plane, right? Everything, tunnels, bridges, they all build it without factoring in curvature ever.
I have a question.
Yes.
By the way, thanks for being here tonight. I'm pretty skeptical about the flat earth, but I really warmed up to you because, Johnny, wouldn't you agree, it kind of looks like Guy? So you look like a really good friend of mine, so I like you already. But if you don't mind, I actually just have 2 personal questions, nothing crazy personal, but I just kind of need to know where you stand on these 2 questions, and then I need your advice.
Go.
I'm not really going to put you on the spot.
You're asking a flat earther for advice. You're asking a flat earther.
Anyway, I'm just curious, do you believe in God?
Before I understood that the earth was intelligently designed, I guess you could call me an atheist. But now that I see that it's intelligently designed, yes, there is a creator.
Do you believe in Jesus?
That is a personal question, and I draw the line at yes, there's a creator.
That's fine. I'm okay with that. So I need your advice on this next thing I want to ask you. So I really enjoy sitting here watching you. You're doing a good, like you believe in what you believe, and you're doing a fantastic job of it. And I like everything about your style. But I do have an issue with what I'm about to believe because I have 2 really good friends. I mean, fair enough. Maybe NASA's lying to us. Maybe the military's lying to us. I don't know NASA or the military, but I have 2 lifelong, very good friends that I trust with my life, and they're airline pilots.
Yeah.
And they would not believe anything you're saying tonight.
Well,
so I mean, what do I say to them the next time I see them? And I mean, like, these guys been lying to me their whole lives?
No, they're not. They're not lying. Okay. They're not lying. They just fly their planes and you know they're not flying the planes. They take off and they land and the plane flies itself. The autopilot, AI tells it what wind speed, what wind trails to get into, and everything. So they're not flying the planes. It used to be when where the heck is it? It used to.
They didn't always have AI. I mean,
No, I know, and no, but for long, well, I think AI has been here for well longer than they're telling us.
Yeah.
That's a whole nother thing. So there's airplane pilots. I have a lot of pilots, American Airlines, many different airlines that fly to New Zealand and everywhere. And they tell me they're all flat, but they say there's some pilots that are not, and they're trying to show them, and a lot of them are converting. But airplanes fly straight and level across the Earth plane. I'm trying to find a quote. I'll just quote it without pulling up the graphic. There was we didn't get into satellites yet, but satellites are balloons. NASA, mostly balloons. NASA puts up tens of thousands of balloons. They with up to 8,000 pound satellites on them. And these balloons are up there for long periods of time, but he was flying across the United States, and the control tower called in and said, hey, there's 2 NASA balloons descending from 55,000 feet in your area, and they don't have transponders. Be on the lookout. Now, this pilot is a flat earther. He knows what that means. It doesn't mean just a silly little balloon. He means it's holding a friggin' pickup truck, on the bottom of the thing. And if they hit it, it would be disastrous. So this pilot became completely petrified, almost crapped himself, but they made it through, never saw the balloons, and that was it. But that doesn't really prove anything other than there's plenty of pilots. Now, on the app, if you hit the frequently asked the question mark, go to our all pilots in on it, and there we have a 3-hour video. It's just one of the many videos there of 27 different pilots talking about how the Earth is flat. The thing is, your pilots are up there, they're flying from point A to point B, and there is no curvature. So let me show you. I'm going to show you a couple of flight routes, but I'm going to show you something else. If you guys can follow this, it's easy. If the Earth is spinning, this is what the plane has to do. Okay. This is crazy, right? Here it's going 1,000 miles an hour sideways. Here it's going 500 miles an hour. Here it's just pirouetting. So how is it changing that sideways angular speed to fly a straight path, right? This is just insanity when you look at this. So I'm trying to hold on a second. So this is, all right, this is what I want to show you. So here's a flying, and so you're always on the top of the ball. This is, if you're on a ball, this is what would be happening. The stars in the distance would be rising up because the stars right in front of you would be over your head when you go halfway over the ball. So this star or moon, whatever it is, it would rise, and as you go halfway over the ball, it's now over your head instead of in front of you. Make sense? Everybody follow? Right? That makes perfect sense. That's what we would see, right? Unfortunately, here's a flight from somewhere in where is it? In Berlin to Brazil. And we're looking at the stars, and they're not rising up. They're not rising up. This is 4,000 miles. Now, this is what Google Earth says that trip should look like. The stars would rise up because you're diving over the ball, right? This star in front of me would be over me when I dive over the ball. This is what Google Earth says. This is what common sense says. But reality shows us this. And it works in both directions. It's not like they're going with the spin and not. You can try to make up an excuse. Because if we're going with the spin, you'd have to be going twice as fast because the spin's 1,000 miles an hour. But on the way back, they'd be going twice as fast. But they don't rise up. This is rock solid proof for anybody that can understand it. Right? Unbelievable, rock solid proof that we're not going over a ball. So flight routes, real quick. Just go over here. So on the app, I'm just going to type in Southern Flight Routes. SOUT. All right. So here is, so you guys remember the World Cup, which happened not too long ago. Where is it? Here it is. So they were in Doha. They wanted to go back to Buenos Aires. They had a private plane, didn't have any other passengers to pick up or drop off. They went to Rome for fuel. It's in the wrong direction. And then they went straight down. But if you look at it on a flat earth map, Doha, Rome, ocean, home. It's a straight line, right? Weird. Maybe they went to see the Pope. Who knows, right? And here's people going from Auckland. They want to go to Lima, Peru. They go all the way to California on the other side of the equator. The equator's right here. Why didn't they just go across here? Because on a flat earth map, Auckland, Los Angeles, Peru, it's a straight line, right? There's been emergency landings too. This one going from Hong Kong, was going to the UK, ended up stopping in Germany, and it was a 12-hour flight. 4 hours into the flight, the mother dies, traveling with her little kids and husband. Mother's dead in her seat. There's no other seats in the plane, so they got to keep her there. So your dead mother's sitting next to you. That plane's got to land immediately, right? There's dozens of airports that they could have landed at according to this flight route, but didn't land for 8 hours. Those kids are traumatized for life. Dead mother. If you look at it on a flat earth map, they were over Russia. And they couldn't land for two reasons. One, Russia would probably be very helpful and that could spark world peace. And the other reason is people like me and other flat earthers would go, they were over Russia because the earth is flat. So they couldn't land there because it would have been confirmation, right? So there are hundreds of these. There's a book called 16 Emergency Landings Proving Flat Earth. Here's one. They were going from Chicago to Doha. Emergency landing. They went 1,000 miles out of the way to Moscow. They got there in 15 minutes. How did that happen? Right? Look at it on a flat earth map. Moscow is right on their flight path. Right? And all of that work has been done for you. All of that work has been compiled, put together, right? Here's from South Africa. Somebody said they were from South Africa. Over to Australia. They either go to Dubai, Hong Kong, or Malaysia. That's crazy. Look at it on a flat earth map. Oh, that makes sense. Makes perfect sense. Right? There's tons of these. So yeah.
Got another question here.
Yep.
I've got a couple questions. They're kind of maybe the same thing. So earlier you mentioned understanding flat earth is the key to our freedom. You said something like that. So the first question is, why do you think it's the key to our freedom? Why is it so important? And the second question is, how does it affect us? What does it matter if we believe, if it's flat or round? How does that pertain to us in our everyday lives? What's the difference, and why is everybody arguing about it so much instead of acknowledging, guess what, it could be this or it could be this.
Yeah, because
talking about that there might be other lands that they're hiding from us, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about personally, the everyday person who doesn't have anything to do with those things and never will have anything to do with these things. Why is it important to us? Why do we need to understand this? What does it have to do with our freedom? And why argue about it and cause more division?
Well, right. Well, it's because we live in a very spiritual world, and this is a satanic lie, and there's a lot of evil in the world, and the way they get away with all this evil is people can't imagine that evil exists. Therefore, if they can't imagine it, it'll just happen, and it'll get around them. What difference does the shape of the world make? Well, there is no difference. It doesn't make a difference, the shape. It's the lie that matters. What difference does it make? I have to go to work on Monday. I said it. I said all the things, right? I worked my way up through corporate America. I started my own business, super successful. I had a great situation, making tons of money, American dream. I got the whole thing. And I walked away from it all because this is the most important topic of our time. This is the one that unplugs us from the matrix. This is the one that frees us from the tyranny that's going on. What difference does it make? Well, there's a thing where he who created it owns it. So we're born into God's world, into nature, into the natural world, and there's natural law, and we are inheritors of this realm equally. But the controllers have made it where they immediately register us to a corporation at birth, and they'll tell us we live on this spinning ball. And if you live on their ball field, you play with their rules. And that's how they control us. For example, if you look at all of the music industry, all of it, all of the movies industry, all of the video games, and I think you could add into that all of the professional sports teams, all of that together is less than space, what they spend on space yearly. Okay. Space is the biggest money laundering system in the world ever. And it's how they control us because it makes us insignificant. It hides us from the creator. There's a quote in the Bible, a verse that basically says, once you see my creation, you can no longer deny my existence. Well, they don't want you in that situation where you can't deny the creator, because it's hard to control people that have a connection to God. So they're doing everything they can by demoralizing us and hiding us and diluting God. How do you dilute something? You put it into something bigger, right? You pour it into something bigger, like infinite expanding space. They tell us space is expanding. I think it's 1 billion miles a minute or something like that. It's the dumbest thing ever. It's ridiculous. They're just lying. So money, I don't think money is the reason that they do it. I think it's more to hide God. And what else I got here? So if also, as I was saying before, your thoughts create your reality. If you're trapped in a globe of limitations, if you're afraid that they're going to start a nuclear war and don't realize that nuclear bombs don't exist as described, if you think that we're overpopulated, maybe you won't have have more kids. It's all about population control. I believe that in the old world, if you start looking into that, there's tons of stuff on the app about it, that there was trillions of people here, trillions. Okay, not billions, trillions. And there's so much evidence of that. It's unreal. But if you live in a small world, you have small thoughts, and it limits your imagination. It limits your creative ability. And if you live in fear, your ability to manifest is not nearly as strong. So, what difference does it make? If you lived, let's say you lived in a building. All right, let's say there's this cool building. They're building that line out in Saudi Arabia, whatever it's called. Well, imagine a building 500 miles long by 500 miles wide, and it's 400 stories tall. Okay, cool. You're born in there. There's football stadiums in there. There's colleges in there. There's Costco's in there. There's trains in there. There might even be airplanes. 500 miles, that's pretty far, right? So this is a giant building. But every time you get within a mile of the outside wall, there's military there that goes, no, you can't go there. We have to protect the penguins. There's penguins that live out there, right? And there's ice. We don't want you infecting the ice. And you're like, okay. And then somebody goes, there's more out there. There's more. And you're like, what difference does it make? I'm fine right here in my little ball, right? They don't want you to know. What are all wars fought over? All of them. Resources and land. What if they're hiding more land and resources? They're hiding more land and resources. They're hiding the creator. They're hiding your true power. This is the most important topic. And also, if you're lost in space, spinning out of control, living in fear and in lack, they can make you believe that the boogeyman's floating through the air. And if you breathe on your friend, they're going to die and it's going to be your fault, right? They can make you believe in anything if you believe you're flying through space. If you don't have a foundation to God's creation, then you are lost in space and you'll never live to your full potential. Now, you might be happy. You might have money. You might have a nice house. You might go on vacation here and there, right? Okay. But that's not what this is all about. This is all about, government. What is government? Why does government think that they're in charge of us? We're in charge of them. God, man, government. Government's trying to get on top of God, right? They're already on top of us in your minds, not in my mind. I mean, not in regular people's minds. I'm not trying to insult anybody, but government is here for us, but they're not here for us. They're all corrupt. They're all, in it together, and they're literally satanic. It's crazy the stuff that they're into. So, why the lie? They're hiding free energy. They're hiding your spirituality, hiding more land. What's going on here? They're hiding scientific knowledge. What's in Antarctica? that we're at the center of creation. They're hiding how special you are. So if you want to just ignore that and not see the full creation of the fantastic opportunity that we have to experience this realm, you know, that's why for me, it is the most important topic ever.
Hi, Dave. My name is Darren, and would you go so far as to say that there is more than one sun?
If you look at the work of Crow 777, there appears to be two suns. The sun that we see, and he calls it the spirit sun. I call it the sun. There's been a lot of photographs, you know, when we had those fires, thanks guys, that put all the smoke over America here. You could see two suns at some points, but a lot of people saw two suns. So when there's certain, you know, filters in the sky, there's something going on there. Now, I think it's the actual source sun and then the projected sun, the sun that we see. So I'll show you a quick example here. Optics. So here is a little example, a little thing that I did. I put a sheet dividing my room in two. On the other side of the sheet, I got a flashlight that's about 10 feet away, and we'll call that the sun. Now, this is the sun that we see. Are we seeing the flashlight? Are we seeing something on the sky? This is the sky. Okay. So Paige is over here, and I said, where do you see the sun? She goes, right there. Now, if I drew a little X on the sheet right there, she sees the sun over there while I see it right there. We're seeing it in two different positions. So are there two suns? What if the conditions made it so I could see through the sheet and I could see the light? There would be two suns. There's a lot that we don't know. Flat earthers know that we don't know. Globers think they know everything, but they don't know anything. You ask a glober, what's somebody, can I pick on somebody that believes in the globe? Answer this question. How fast does the earth spin at the equator?
Hold on, let me find someone here who wants to answer that. Robin. Okay, here. Robin. Glober. Robin the Glober.
How fast is the earth spinning at the equator?
I don't actually know.
Okay, what's the diameter of the earth? What's the radius of the earth? How fast is the earth spinning around the sun? How far is the sun? How wide is the sun? What distance is the sun? How did they figure out the distance to the sun? Okay.
So the sun is rotating at 1,000 miles per hour.
Wait, say that again.
Sorry, the earth is rotating 1,000 miles per hour.
At the equator?
Equator? I'm not sure. Is it equator? 1,500. The earth's diameter is 14,000 kilometers.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Here's the thing.
2,000.
You're hanging out with flat earthers, so you're learning a little bit of stuff. Plus, I already said half of these answers. I already said half of these answers earlier. I said these things earlier. But when you talk to somebody that defends the globe, they're like, well, everybody can't be in on it. Yeah, there's people that defend the globe and don't even know their own model. They don't know their own model at all. And then they go, well, you know what? I've researched because I've Googled. If you Google flat earth, you get all nonsense. If you watch a whole bunch of my real flat earth videos or Jaronism's videos or Globusters videos or real videos, they're in your YouTube search history. Now you could say, hey, I was researching how to skin an alligator 2 years ago. You can look that up. It's in your search history, right? Sorry for the crude example, but so everything's in your search history. But if you search flat earth, none of the videos you watched will show up, just propaganda videos. It's the only topic that happens in, right? You just watch these videos. You watch some today, last week, 2 weeks, a month ago, and you search for them in your history by flat earth keyword. None of them will show up, and propaganda videos that you never even watched will show up. You got to ask yourself, what the heck is going on there?
Red flag for sure. Sorry. Deborah, the two sun question before you go, follow up.
So, how nobody can come at me with this one, okay?
I can't hear you.
Aliens. Do you think they're helping us?
Who?
Aliens.
So extraterrestrials. So if somebody lived on the
Forgive me. My apologies.
No,
You're
no,
right, extraterrestrial.
it's well, people, the people interchange the words. That's fine. So, so if the Earth was set up like this, let's pretend this is the Earth. This is Antarctica, and out here is extra territory, extra land, extra terra. If somebody lived on the extra terra, they would be an extraterrestrial. And if they came to visit us here in this inner space, we would say, you're an extraterrestrial from outer space. Now, how far is this? 10, 20,000 miles? It's not that far. Okay. Now, the closest star is 25 trillion miles away, 4.5 light years, 25 trillion miles away in a scientifically impossible space vacuum. So we're going to get on a ship and we're going to go there. And we're going to go see if there's life there. And let's say we get a ship that can go a mile per second. Nobody's ever gone a mile per second. Okay. If we traveled for 1 trillion seconds, do you know how many miles we've gone? You know how long we've been traveling? If we've gone 1 trillion seconds at a mile per second, we've gone 1 trillion miles. How long is that? Not people that listen to my videos. How long is 1 trillion seconds? Want to take a guess? Whoever asked the question. How long is a trillion seconds? Just take a wild guess.
160 years.
Say again.
160 years.
160 years.
Very close. 31,000 years. Okay. So if you were traveling to that star at a mile per second for 31,000 years, you're only 1/25th of the way there. You got to do it 24 more times. But let's know what, you know what? I'm friends with Elon Musk. He gave me a ship that goes 100,000 miles an hour. Unfathomable. It's only going to take us 28,000 years to get there. When we get there, we find out there's no life on any of these planets. Now we got to go to the next star, which is hundreds of times farther. Okay. This is ridiculous. This is stupid. This is where extraterrestrial, they're telling us extra terra here in the outer space. If you want to believe in extraterrestrials helping us, yes, they're here. If they're concerned with us screwing this place up, it's because they're our next door neighbors. Not because they live on a scientifically impossible planet elsewhere. What if there's more? What if this is our entire pond, right? What if this is our entire pond? What if, now again, we don't need any of this to prove the Earth is flat because we don't need to speculate on anything, right? But what if we lived right here? This is our pond. And this is another pond and another pond and another pond and another pond. And a piece of the plane might be called a planet, right? What if this is the world? What if this is the world that Star Wars is talking about? All of these other worlds, and some of them are hostile and some of them are not. You know, what if there's one of these that's called the land of Mars? What if that's where Elon's trying to go, to the land of Mars, right? What if this is something that is physically possible if the Earth is flat? The heliocentric model is scientifically impossible. I don't even give it an option, right? A pressured system in a space vacuum, it's stupid. And we can do experiments here to prove that gravity can't hold air down. It can't. I could drink with a straw. With the weak, low pressure system of my mouth and lungs, I could pull air and water up and away from gravity, but this vacuum of space can't. It's crazy. It's crazy. You know, every flat earther, even a lot of people say there's no more lands. There's only the only the one. And other people say there's a superdome over the whole thing. We have all different things to consider, right? Some people look at the moon map. That's a whole nother thing. But one thing we all look back at goes, how did we ever believe in the globe model? How did we ever fall for that? And the answer is because you were taught it before you had discernment, and you taught it by people that you thought were gods, your teacher, your kindergarten teacher, your first grade teacher, right? That's, you know, the Russian propaganda scientist said, give me a kid to the age of 7 and I'll own them for the rest of your life. And that's what the Rockefeller school system, which was took over in 1901, I think, has done. If you can memorize and regurgitate, right? Memorization is not education, it's indoctrination, right? And that's how they get you.
So you're saying with the flat Earth, that there's other universes, but they're only extraterrestrial. They're not like you're like my understanding was that it's infinite. The universe is, and we are about one universe amongst many, which you did broach upon, right? So does that mean that there are other, like you're talking light years and things like that? We've got things where we can disappear. I go back to Star Trek, where we can materialize and dematerialize.
Well, I mean, they may or may not have that, but in heliocentric space, and if you want to believe in extraterrestrials, you have to believe in folding of space and wormholes and a whole bunch of other theoretical nonsense. Otherwise, you can't live in space. And there's been so many experiences, people that have been abducted and have had experiences and all sorts of stuff. All of them seem, or many of them seem to be true. Then you have to come up, excuse me, you have to come up with a story. Like, how did they get here? If they're coming from that star, which is 50,000 light years away, whatever it is, well, they fold time and space. They, wormhole, and you make up stuff, but therefore it has to be true, because if the experience happened, well, we have to find a way that they got here. Then they just make up stuff, and this stuff just takes a life of its own. If we live on a flat Earth, and this is huge, our Earth is huge, right? Our Earth, right, would be just the center. Where is it? Hold on. Right? Would just be this is our whole Earth, which is huge. It's massive, right? Think how big this is. And then there's a book called The Navigator Across the Ice Wall. I highly recommend it. It's real amazing. Out here, they say unknown. So maybe it goes on forever. You mean your infinite space goes forever. So maybe this does. Maybe this is it. Maybe this is one cell of a much bigger system. I don't know, but we want the right to go explore.
Those are always wise words. I don't know. I wanted to I think we should talk if you could talk a little bit about gravity. I think everyone's got gravity on their mind, like what gravity as a theory, and maybe what could be an alternative. And I know that you're not saying what things are, just there could be something else, I guess. Anyways, gravity. Dave.
Yeah. We're, flat earthers are crazy because we think down is down. We think down is down for everybody. Down is down for someone in Australia and South America. We think down is down, but this is not crazy, where down is down. These people are spinning 1,000 miles an hour sideways. Shouldn't this person be kind of pushed over this way? Shouldn't that centrifugal force push him towards the equator? No one ever feels any of that. This guy's pirouetting like a ballet dancer. This guy's moving 500 miles an hour. This guy's moving 1,000 miles an hour. All of their feet are antipodal to each other. That's normal. That's not crazy, right? So what is gravity? So this balloon, I'm just holding it here, and it's flopping down. Why isn't it flopping up? Well, gravity. Gravity's pulling it down, is making it down. Now, it's not really stretching the rubber because it's not very heavy. But if I turn the gravity up to 10 Gs, 20 Gs, right? Wouldn't it? It would probably stretch the rubber. You can all imagine that. Sure. It makes the balloon a little heavier. The rubber will stretch a little bit, right? If I put some air in it, the air is stretching it. Why? Because the air is violently trying to escape in all directions, including up against gravity, right? Put a hole in the top, air's out. No matter where I put it, the air is trying to get out. The air is stronger than gravity. It can stretch the rubber, but gravity can't. Okay? But gravity's going to hold on to air. Air is the wild child, right? So what is gravity? Because gravity is just a theory. Walter Lewin from MIT says it's electrical forces that hold our world together, right? It's electrical forces that hold our world together. So we've all seen static electricity. everything from air molecules to people to food to rocks have an electrostatic charge. The Earth has a neutral or negative charge, you might call it, right? But that is the foundation. The Earth does not move. And we know that positive and negatives attract each other. Okay. Anything that's above the Earth is surrounded by a positive field. The sky is positive, right? So anything that's above the ground has a positive field, and it's being attracted to the ground, right? Then buoyancy and density sort everything else out. This airship, by the way, look into airships. There used to be airships that hold thousands and thousands of people that traveled all around the Earth, but they can't have that. That's why they had the Hindenburg psyop, and there's a shortage on helium. Why? NASA controls all the helium in the world. This is lighter than the air. This is lighter than the water. This is heavier than the water. Buoyancy and density sort everything else out. But what makes things go down? Like if I drop something, it goes down. Why doesn't it go sideways? Why doesn't it go up? Right? Why is it going down? Gravity. Well, that's what they say. So let's look into this. The sun and the moon are the anode and the cathode of the Earth battery system. We live in this electric system. The cathode and the anode, the salt water carries the current, not the fresh water, the salt water. The land is the salt bridge. That creates a battery, if you remember your chemistry. So we live in this giant battery energy system, okay? And there's a thing called the three-body problem, right? So the sun has gravity, and the Earth has gravity, holds on to the moon, but the sun holds on to the Earth. It ignores the moon. People say, well, the moon's closer to the Earth, so the Earth's gravity supersedes it. It's a whole bunch of made-up excuses. But the three-body problem says the following. You can get a computer, a supercomputer, get three objects the same size just to make it easy, and you put them in there and see what they do. And what happens is they go into chaos mode. And no supercomputer in the world can figure out what's going to happen next. They can figure out in like a second or two ahead, but they can't figure out what's going to happen. And it goes into chaos mode. Do you think there's more than 3 gravitational objects in the universe? I mean, there's thousands in our solar system. Okay. But they can't figure it out. They can't model it. And here's the thing. There's lots of stuff in cosmology that you can't figure out. And you go, oh, I'm just not smart enough. No. That's what they've trained you to think, that you're not smart enough. The reason you can't figure it out is because it's stupid, right? It's unfigure-outable. So there's the three-body problem. They can't solve it. And now we're going to do a little test. So the electrostatics. Here we have some leftover party balloons, and they're tied. We got a little button here. This wire goes to a Van de Graaff generator, okay? And now we're going to crank up the Van de Graaff generator, and it's going to add more of a positive charge to it. It's going to just give it a little more of a positive charge. And watch what happens. It goes down because the higher the positive charge, the more it's attracted to the floor, which is the negative. And you discharge it, it goes back up. Now, did we have changed gravity, or did we just change electrostatics like I just showed you? We changed electrostatics. What about the opposite, right? We could take this, we put a negative charge into it, it goes up. Are we anti-gravity? If we put it on and leave it on, it stays up. Now, this wants to go positive, but we keep cranking a negative charge in there, and it goes up, right? So that's interesting. Let's look at something bigger, right? This is MIT created it. It's called the silent drone. No moving parts, no propellers, and it flies. It just pulls energy. I'm not sure where it's getting its energy from. Might be a battery, might be pulling it out of the air. But it flies because it has a negative charge, and it's repelling itself off the Earth. You know, the XRTB-3 or whatever, I should learn the name of it, that triangular secret aircraft they have, they admit that it levitates and propels itself with electrostatics. So that's a real thing. That's the secret space program. They don't want you to know about other forms of propulsion that don't need gasoline, right? Gasoline, nonsense. So they tell us that the electrostatic force. Now remember this. The electrostatic force is 10 to the 39th power. That's 10 with 39 zeros, stronger than gravity. This is what science tells us. 10 to the 39th, that's a number you cannot comprehend. Remember, a trillion seconds is 31,000 years. A trillion has 12 zeros. So you got 31,000, just looking at it in seconds, right? Times that times 1,000. And then take that number, times it times 1,000. Again, that's only 18 zeros. We got to do that all the way up to 36 zeros. The electrostatic force is 10 to the 36 power stronger than gravity. What that means is, well, the electrostatic force is real. So if I drop this, there's two things that could be making going down. One, the electrostatic force, which I just scientifically demonstrated as a real thing, or the fictitious gravity, which is it's 0. 10 to the 39th. It's 0.03901. That's how strong it is. That's 0. Okay. So how can you say gravity does anything? The other thing is their gravitational model doesn't work. It's 96% wrong. So you know what you do? You're like, I got a theory. Well, it's 96% wrong. It's like, well, I'm going to make up dark matter and dark energy. No one's ever seen it. No one's ever measured it, but it has to exist or my formula's wrong. Okay, it exists then. How stupid is that? It's stupid. They've taken away Newtonian gravity and replaced it with Einsteinian gravity. You guys heard about Einsteinian gravity, the bending and warping of space-time, where, you know, a mass bends space, you know, the fabric of space, and then things fall into the gravity well. The reason you can't figure it out, because nobody can, is because it's stupid, right? It's made up to the point where they want you to look at these calculations and not be able to figure it out. And then you're like, you know what? I'm not smart enough. That's what they've trained you to do. I'm not smart enough. I need somebody with a degree, somebody that's been published. By the way, in science, if you come up with something that goes against what everything they're doing, from medicine to cosmology, you do not get published. You get punished. You get thrown out. You get defunded. You do not even get looked at. So when they go, well, where's your published paper? Published paper is just a bunch of people that agree on something and says, oh, you agree with us? We'll publish your paper. That's literally what peer review is. Go in here and type in peer review in the video search. There's a great video about how peer review is complete and total nonsense. So there's the gravity. Gravity is their God. Gravity is the easiest one to disprove. And once you accept that and let all of that unwind, you'll find out that you're at the center of creation. And, you know, NASA's lying. If I let's say somebody in your life lies to you dead out, do you trust them anymore? Probably not. They're going to have to try to earn your trust. They lie to you again. Really big lie. Total lie. They weren't there. They didn't do it. Whatever. You're not going to trust them anymore. They lie to you again. They're finished. They're done. Right? NASA, we catch them lying thousands of times, but people just like, oh, well, I love NASA. I love it. NASA's the best. So if we look at NASA, they fake everything, right? And by the way, you know, they have a giant green screen studio they use. They do all sorts of stuff. Why would they be doing this? Why would NASA be doing stuff like this? Right? They rent the McCoud facility, the biggest green screen room in the world, maybe, and they simulate all of this stuff. Why would they do that if it's real? Why would they do it if it's real? Right? The founders of NASA are a Scientologist, a cartoon producer, a Nazi, an occultist, and Aleister Crowley. Okay? Those are the founders of NASA. People don't even want to believe that's the case, but those are the founders of NASA. And NASA comes out with stories like this, right? This is an asteroid the size of 23 bullseye dogs to pass the Earth Saturday, right? Then they come out with one, the size of 22 tuna fish. Then they come out with 6 Darth Vaders. What the heck does that even mean? 48 eggplants. That one doesn't sound too dangerous. Right? 90 elephants. That one could cause some damage, right? These are mainstream. 787 matzahs, and that flew over on Passover. Okay? right? These are real articles from NASA. 69 American alligators. Thank God they weren't Australian alligators. Okay. And 18 platypuses, right? 18 walruses, 20 bald eagles. Why are they doing this? Hot dogs, 100 hot dogs. That one, I wouldn't worry about that one. 100 hot dogs. I've seen people eat 100 hot dogs, I think. 100 Barbie dolls. Guess when that one probably came out. Okay. So this is just nonsense out there for weak minds. So let's look at the ISS just for a little bit. A couple screw ups that they do. I don't know how many we need to go through. They're using green screens and wires and studios. Where did this guy come from? Where did he come from? Where did he come from? Right? They're using stuff. When he leaves, right? Another guy comes in. Oh, that's the same guy. Hold on. So I think he leaves screen. Oh, this guy fades in, fades out. So what does that show you? They're using layering. They're using layering. Something's going on here, right? And this is I found this interesting. Yeah, here's Chris Hatfield, and watch what happens. Oh, what the heck? A little glitch, right? So this is them celebrating Christmas. You know, we spent all that money to send hats up there. That's in 1999. Look at their hats. Look at the balls on their hats. In 2023, they're all up because there's no gravity. But the gravity is in 1999, gravity on and gravity off. All right. Now you could be a NASA apologist and go, well, they placed them there for the picture. They placed them, you know, right? So this is bubbles in space. We see bubbles all the time. See these bubbles? What is that? They do all of their training in a pool, and we believe that lots of times during the spacewalks, these are training. These are just literally filmed in a pool, and then the space background is added, right? The astronauts are so stupid they can't even put their shoes on the right feet. Okay, that's weird, right? You're in space. You need how come their suits don't blow up? How come their suits don't explode from air pressure? We know what happens when you put a soda can or something in a vacuum chamber. This is something that's going on, and watch it. Everything changed colors. Like the green screen got screwed up. The ball is orange, and their suits are blue, and then it switched for a second. Their face is blue, right? So they're using all sorts of green screen technology. Here is Kamala Harris. Oh my God, she's talking to the astronauts, right? And he's playing with this wire. Watch the wire. It's going through his hand, through his wrist. He goes, watch, it goes right through his wrist. See that? Okay. So that's just to make you think they're in space. Why is he playing with that wire? Why is he doing that? It's to make you think they're in space, right? Here is, what is this one? This one is, oh, yeah. They're approaching the space station. This is the space station. That's the space shuttle docked right there, right? Look, how's it going in the window here? Look at this. If you saw this in a B-rated movie, you would want your money back. All right. Right. And then the cupola window, you're in the vacuum of space. There's a rod going from this knob out to this window. What kind of gaskets do they have? Now, look, is she looking at the window, or is she looking at a monitor trying to synchronize her turning? And it's not exact. She's off a little bit. If you really analyze it, she's off a little bit. But the bigger problem is she's in space. They work out for 2 hours a day. They only get one shirt a week. They do not have showers. They have one washcloth a week. Look at her hair. Look at her hair. That is a good hair day. Look at her makeup. Who put her makeup on? How much makeup do you have in space? How do you get the makeup off in space? Right? So these are, I didn't even get to the good stuff. Sit tight. We're going to get to the good stuff. Here's at the pool facility where they have a full mock-up in a very deep pool of the space shuttle. They were letting some cameras film, And while they were filming all of the monitors of what was going on, they accidentally caught one that had the green screen right there. There's the green screen. Why would they have a green screen? Why would they need a green background? Right? So here, let me ask you a question. Is this in a pool or is it in space? Pool or space? Now, was it space and I added the pool, or was it pool and I added the space? The answer is, I don't even remember. I think it was pool to space, but I did it without Photoshop. Okay. Super easy, right? NASA is lying about everything. Here's a bunch of lies. This guy's holding something, he drops it. Whoops. And he's like all nervous, like, oh my God. He dropped it and it fell. And NASA says, oh, they hit a pocket of gravity. They hit a pocket of gravity. He drops it and it falls. Okay, weird. Maybe he pushed it down with his finger, right? Let me see what's going on here. Oh, this guy does his flip. He gets screwed up. He's like, oh, looking up at the wire thing. And he grabs the wire right there. He grabs it and stabilizes him. He grabs the wire on his waist harness. If they were floating, they'd be able to spin sideways and do-si-do and go around each other. Nope, they always just do the one little flip. He's grabbing the wire right there. Maybe I zoom in here. Here we go. He goes over and he grabs the wire. Boom, pulls it right there. Okay. There's a lot of videos where you'll see that. Here's one. The dragon capsule came up and they had some fresh fruit. Awesome. Fresh fruit. Why is the fruit sitting on the table? How's it sitting on the table? They're in zero gravity, right? Well, maybe they put it down very carefully and it's just sitting there. Okay. Well, then they were playing with the lemon, and this is called augmented reality. And the lemon went and they went to grab it. Watch what happens with this lemon. Watch the hands very carefully, right? Watch the hands. Watch the lemon. Zooming in. Watch again. Last time. Do you see it? That's not real. That's not real. It's called augmented reality. This is what's his face? The dumb guy. He said, oh, he tired of drinking out of bags, so he made a special cup that can hold, that'll hold coffee. Watch, the coffee becomes out of sync with the cup. It comes out of sync, right? I'll zoom in. Watch, the coffee is out of sync. The only excuse for that is they're lying to you. They're using fakery, right? These guys are in different rooms. Chris Hadfield loves singing. This guy's holding the microphone, doesn't realize his position is wrong, and he sticks the microphone inside of Chris's neck. Ready? It's in his neck. In his neck. He doesn't miss a note, right? It's lost in his neck because they're in different rooms. They're in different rooms. Here's another one where they moved a little too quickly, and watch under his arm here, he reveals the green screen because it glitches out. And when he brings his arm back, boom, there it is, green screen, right? There's no excuse for this green to show up. Now, you can make excuse that it glitched out, cosmic rays, whatever, processing, but there's no excuse for the green coming out of nowhere. Okay? This ball, I believe it's real, and it's filled with helium. So it's just neutrally buoyant. She's playing with, got a little Velcro, so it's stuck to the floor, and she's playing with it. But what's up here? Nothing until it beams in. They literally put a Star Trek beaming and a beaming noise, and now she's playing with it, augmented reality like the lemon. It's not real, right? This is stuff that they can do in real time. Real time. Right? This guy's at the end of their thing. Everything that was floating, including them, glitched out, and then they quickly switched over to mission control.
Wow.
Yeah, there's so many more. There's so many more things. It's mind blowing. Hold on, I got one here. This is the McCoud facility, right, where they film stuff. So this is stuff that they do in that studio. I don't know if that was from NASA, but they're just showing you. But if we jump forward a little bit, so this is what they're showing you at NASA. So they're just watch some of the stuff that they do. Right? You don't know what's real anymore. They'll show you stuff, right? On my app, on the more resources page, which is the web button, there's a section called Rockets Are Balloons. Watch that. Bring tissues if you love NASA, if you love space, right? They're literally launching helium balloons. The space shuttle, the external tank that they launch is a balloon. It's a helium. It's an airship. And the videos there will just show you how it's done and what they do, right? All of this, you would swear this is real. Now, yes, there is an airplane that they call the space shuttle that has engines. You could hear it. That's why whenever it comes in, when the people are watching it land, it has 2 jet fighters on each wing because it's disguising the noise from the engines. It's a plane.
Those rockets that are going up, those are balloons?
Not all of them. Some of them are pure CGI. Some of them are smaller rockets that are being shot up. Some of them are helium balloons. But nobody ever gets very close to them to really see them. I'm going to try to show you one here. Where is it? Rockets. All the rockets, when they go launch up, they curve out and they crash right into the Bermuda Triangle where there's not many boats out there. Oh, I know where it is. Where did it go? Where'd it go? SpaceX. Maybe it's there. Oh, well, let's go here. We're going to stay off rockets for a second. This is the first picture that SpaceX got of the Earth. And weird that the clouds say sex, because these guys they're obsessed with perversion, right? So that's interesting. And if you look at Jeff Bezos's rocket and Virgin Atlantic's rocket, I don't know, that just could be a coincidence, right? That's got to be a coincidence, right? It's got to be a coincidence, but let's keep going, right? This is a NASA rocket. This is the shot that they show us. Okay, maybe I'm just a little perverted, right? Bezos's rocket. Every time they do a Bezos rocket, the one that looks exactly like a male genitalia, the cameraman has a seizure, right? And it's going up and down. Okay. Every single time. Right? All right. Maybe I just have a dirty mind. This is the first Apollo diagram. Okay. I don't know. Weird. And then this is the space shuttle mission patch. Now, to me, I look at this, it kind of looks like a baby in a womb, but that's just weird. And they came up with a special cup that they can drink coffee out of. And if you look at this cup, what does that look like? Okay. What does that look like? And if you watch this woman drink out of it, it is the creepiest thing ever. At least it is creepy to me, right? Again, supposedly this can hold coffee in space. I don't understand how that's even possible, but literally it's a woman's private parts. They do all sorts of crazy sexual stuff. It's mind-blowing. Yeah.
Okay, that's deception point.
All right. So where else are we going here? We got I had a whole balloon rocket thing. Oh, here, this is one I call the 2-pack rocket, right? So this one going up, right? Now this is a fake rocket. Nobody's there. This is one they show. This is, for lack of a better word, it's a hologram. Look at this little clean flame. Now, one way to tell whether it's fake or not, if there's something sending something up, it leaves a smoke trail. There's no smoke trail, but they don't show you that because they always show a zoomed in shot. But watch the top of the rocket right here. Watch what happens. There was a glitch. You're going to see like a little weird layering thing that happens. And what happened? What was that? So we'll zoom in a little bit. What's going on there? Same thing that happened on the ISS. This is a fake rocket. A fake rocket. What is this one? This one is, what is this one doing? Whenever they shoot this up. So this is the one that's landing. This one's going up. Now see this nice curve of the Earth? Now watch when it switches cameras. Right? So you got this curve. Right? This one's falling down. And these little fins are going to guide it. And it's going to land on a small little raft 800 miles out in the ocean. Right? So watch the curve here. I think this one might show it. It goes from convex to concave, convex to concave. That's to confuse your mind. This thing is free falling. Look at how much more curve here, and then there's less curve. The curve would be consistent. This thing's free falling. It's going to land even now at 40, 50,000 feet. There's winds hundreds of miles an hour, but somehow this thing's going to free fall and it's going to land on a drone ship. And every time it lands, the camera on the ship goes out at the last second. And then all of a sudden it comes back online and there it is landed. This thing is up higher than you've ever flown. It weighs 10, 20 tons empty, or whatever it is. It's falling. And these little fins are going to guide it to a drone ship in the middle of the ocean, 800 miles offshore that no one is at. And it's always calm. I don't know if any of you done any ocean traveling. It's never calm. There's always swells and you never know what, right? So look how high this is to the clouds. I mean, if you were in a plane this high, you'd be freaking out. Just jump forward a little bit. It's falling. Look at the concave Earth now. It's got a little bit of a convex, right? Curve, flat, concave. So this little flame is going to stop megatons from falling out of the sky, and it's going to land upright with one thing, a tall, top-heavy thing. Wait, did it land? Okay, and it's got these little thrusts. It's gonna find this raft in the middle of nowhere. Look at this curvature. It's reverse curve here, and then it'll switch back. Oh, we lost signal. Damn it. All right. And then they're gonna cut back. They're like, this is the drone ship. All right, is it coming? Right? It's falling out of the sky. Uh-oh, the ship's starting to shake. It's starting to shake. It must be coming. And what is going on here? Oh, the camera glitches out. And the name of the ship is, of course, I Still Love You, because that's cute, right? And then it goes forward, and oh, there it is. It landed. It landed. That's amazing. It landed on this thing in the ocean, 800 miles offshore, and it just fell out of the sky and found it perfectly. How crazy do you have to be to believe that stuff? How crazy?
It's wild, Steve.
Yeah.
Hey, Dave, could you tell us what your app is?
Yeah. So because of the censorship, you can't find anything real on YouTube, and people want tons of information. So this app bypasses their algorithm. Every day there's a featured video here, and here's the challenge I have. Watch the featured video every day for 2 weeks. At the end of that 2 weeks, if you can come up with one globe proof, you win 3 Bitcoins. 3 Bitcoins. That's $210,000 today. Right? And that's all you have to do. The app's $3, one-time charge, right? There is a subscription for the higher features. Like if you want to go on the friend finder and message other people and create profiles and stuff, it's $11 a year, right? These are the other flat earthers near me. Where are you guys in Ontario? No.
And near Ottawa.
Ottawa. So let's take a look. There's a growing number of people. These are the people that are all on the friend finder on the app. So they're all over, all across the plane and around the world. All right. So these are just the people that are on the friend finder. That's just one thing. So that's a way to find like-minded people. I can click on a dot. I can look up their profile. I can send them a message. You can do video calls. You can do all sorts of stuff. I have images. Let's say you saw a video by a preacher who says, I prove the earth is a globe because the sun is under the clouds. Just type in sun under. Oh, there it is. And these are a whole bunch of videos showing that the sun does not light up the underside of thick clouds. It lights the tops of them. And you can find there's tons and tons and tons of images there. I have a homeschool section. This row right here will blow your mind. My lunch break. Remember that. My lunch break YouTube channel about the old world. Your mind will explode. Right. And then this guy, you want to talk about airships? You want to talk about giants? You want to talk about old world, mud floods? This guy, amazing. All sorts of stuff. Crow 777 radio. Don't send your kids to school. Send them there. It does a whole bunch of other things, but the frequently asked questions is probably the most used, where people are like, well, you know, what about seasons, right? Boom. What about seasons? Right there, right? We can see too far. Coriolis. You can find out about those toilets that are spinning backwards. The International Space Station, tons of videos, all of the stuff, all of the videos. Each one of these have tons of videos in each section. All of them are being hidden from you. That should raise a suspicion. That should raise a big suspicion, because the government's here for you, and it does a whole bunch of things. It's got a trivia game on it. You can play with other people. It's going to have games you can play remote soon. If I click profile, it's like a Facebook profile. You can create friends and make connections. It's a whole thing.
What's it called?
It's called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Don't remember that. Just remember flatearthdave.com and then click the link there. Because on Android, there's already by some globe trolls, they tried to copy it years ago, but it's still there. It's a horrible, crappy app. If you happen to buy their app, make sure you leave them a proper review. Mine's by Blue Water Bay. I think if you search Blue Water Bay, it'll come up. Or on an iPhone, just search in Flat Earth or Flat E, it'll come right up. First thing, but that's it. That's the app. But if you want to make sure, go to flatearthdave.com. Also on my website, there's tons and tons of stuff. Tons and tons of stuff. There's the crash course there. On here, the web button is probably my favorite button. Up comes all sorts of extra resources, but all my interviews, including this one, will be right here. When you click this button, bam, there's over 1,000 interviews, and this one will be at the top. Debunking the Debunkers, another one. Oh my God, I saw this Nat Geo video, and Stephen Hawking says that we showed that they're lying. We don't claim it, we prove it, right? So all of the videos that you think are scaring you away from flat Earth, they're proven. Here's the Earth curve calculator you can use. Faking space with blimps, balloon rockets. This one is the best. It's fantastic. And all sorts of other tons of videos, emergency landing videos, the Go Fast rocket video, which absolutely proves the Earth is flat. Last one, I'm going to just show you the Go Fast rocket real quick. So the Go Fast rocket was an independent rocket. When you watch NASA launch something, they edit. There's 7 edits before it clears the tower. That's because you're watching a movie, right? But the Go Fast rocket went straight up. It was sponsored by Red Bull, and it went straight up. It went up 72 miles. At least that's what they claim. And then all of a sudden it went kerplunk, like into a fluid, like a plasma. And you heard this kerplunk, and it stopped spinning and floated very weird. It's floating very weird. Okay, that's interesting, right? But it was unedited. But a side view and a down view. I just showed you the down view. But what was interesting is when it turned on its side, we could see the moon. Ready? There's the moon. Earth was looking flat. There's the moon. What's so interesting about that? Right? What's so interesting about that is it was, whoops, not what I wanted to go. It was launched in Arizona. So at 11 a.m. Here's the sun, 12 a.m. Go all the way over. The moon is over here above Australia. So if this is the Earth and here is Arizona, that rocket is a millimeter above this ball and the moon is below it. How do we see the moon? Refraction, gravity. Because the Earth is flat. It's because the Earth is flat. The Earth is flat, like every sense tells you. You're at the center of creation. It matters more than anything else because everything else is based on you not knowing where you are, who you are, or the true power that you have. FlatEarthDave.com. Anybody that wants to find anything real, go there. And don't forget, if you like my shirt, memorization, there's all sorts of cool flat earth stuff, but this is my t-shirt shop. Hit it up. It's also on my website.
Wow. Well, Dave, on behalf of the folks of the Ottawa Valley here, I want to thank you so much for spending this time with us tonight. I know it went a lot longer than we thought, but
no problem. It was fun.
Really informative. I think that there's lots of smiles on people's faces just because they're inspired maybe to look into this more because you've planted a lot of seeds.
Yeah, so I'll quote Crow 777 Radio, by the way. Crow with 2 R's, 777radio.com. Best podcast ever. Most educational thing ever. Watch it. Listen to it every week. It's 1 episode every week. And just you can watch there's 500 old episodes. Amazing. But he says, belief is the enemy of knowing. Belief is easy. You can believe it. I live in Connecticut. I believe you guys are in Ottawa, but I don't know it. You told me. I just believe it. Right. But if you don't know, you have to take time. You have to do research, time and effort. Right. So you want to know where you live. You got to take the time and effort. If you want to just believe what the government told you, feel free. That's your prerogative. But knowing takes time and effort. And I say, take the time and effort because it matters, because it frees you. I don't have to go to work on Monday. Right. How that happened? I don't know. But this world is the biggest conspiracy in the world is this realm is conspiring to give you everything that you think. Be careful what you think. Be careful what you think.
Fantastic.
All right.
Thanks, Dave. And,
hey, guys.
Give a big round of applause.
Thanks. And then anybody that still thinks they live on a ball, collect your 3 Bitcoins. Just give me one proof. One proof. Info@theflatearthpodcast.com. All right, guys. See ya later.